Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first episode of Pokemon History, and today we shall be taking a look at the history of Charizard, one of the most well-known Pokemon, and one of the Pokemon with the highest popularity. So, I guess right now all we can do is begin. So here is the story, or rather the history, of Charizard, the flame Pokemon, all the way from 1996 to 2018. Now, I should point out, as we're doing this video, we'll go through a lot of different things in this video specifically, and it will mainly focus on the biology, the game history, the anime and manga history, and the future of Charizard, so keep in mind that we may not be able to go through every single instant where Charizard has appeared, like every single movie, every single anime episode, because it would take way too long, and this video would be like 3 to 4 hours long, which would be impossible, so please keep that in mind, and now let's get started. Now, the first time Charizard, also known as Lizardon in Japan, appeared was back in 1996 in the games Pokemon Red and Blue, and of course Pokemon Yellow. Now, Charizard was created, like most of other Pokemon, by Ken Sugimori, and he was basically the man who designed most of all the Pokemon, and he still designs Pokemon till this day. And as for Charizard, it was mainly based on the European dragon, and it was essentially rendered with that sort of image in mind, to look like the way dragons were imagined by European people. And as for the name Charizard, it came from the mixing of the words char, which means burn, and of course the word lizard, which is pretty straightforward. Lizard, you know, cherry, zard, lizard. So yeah, pretty straightforward with that. As for the name Lizardon, it is a combination of the word lizard as well, and the word dragon. And when Charizard appeared in Red and Blue, its sprite looked quite weird compared to what it looks today. Now if we have ourselves a little look here, we can see the design here was a bit smaller and chubbier, and you can also see that it didn't have that kind of well-known blue inner wing in its original sprite, but as we move forward in history, we see that this sprite kind of evolves, and we get the kind of wings we're known to and kind of design we're well known to over time, but we mainly see that as we go to Generation 2 and Generation 3, and in Pokemon Yellow we can see that we have a bit of a change to it, but it isn't as big as the change we see specifically in Gold and Silver, where we specifically get to see the Charizard that we used to today, with a updated look and a way better looking sprite added, of course, then and also in Generation 3, Generation 4, and Generation 5. And then, of course, over time, the sprites have just gotten more and more improved until to the point that we got to Generation 6 and 7, where we got ourselves 3D models for Charizard instead, and of course a 3D model for the Pokemon Go game. As for the general biology of Charizard, it has always been loved for the fact that it's mostly just a dragon-looking Pokemon, and that's generally the epicness of its physique and build that makes it into this design that people really love. Now, the original design was a bit chubby and a bit fatter, but over time it's gotten thinner, sleeker, and this has especially been seen very easily when you look at its 2 Mega Evolutions that it received, known as Mega Charizard X and Mega Charizard Y, where the designs got way sleeker and a bit thinner, and that is where we have gotten so far in terms of the evolution of the design of Charizard. Now, let's go away from the actual biology and look of Charizard as it's been evolving, over to the history of its Mega Evolutions, because we just talked about them. Well, let's talk about them a bit further and how they have appeared in general media when it comes to Pokemon and its franchise. Now, as for Charizard, it was really weird to see that back in 2014, it actually received 2 Mega Evolutions. Not 1, but 2. And these were Mega Charizard X and Mega Charizard Y. Now, as for Mega Charizard X, which I personally prefer, it appears in the Pokemon X and Y anime series, where it belongs to Elaine, who uses it to defeat all Mega Evolutions. It also appears in the Pokemon Origins anime, where it's Mega Evolved during a battle with Mewtwo. And this is also the first time that we get to see a Mega Evolution in the Pokemon Origin anime. And of course, this Charizard was owned by Red, so we have Elaine with a Mega Charizard X, and of course we have Red with a Mega Charizard X, so it's pretty interesting there. Now, Mega Charizard X has also had minor appearances in the Pokemon Adventure manga, where the trainer known as X actually has a Charizard with Charizardite X hidden in the tip of its tail under a body of flames, of course, because, Charizard has a flame tail, which is pretty darn cool for a dragon. Now, it also does appear in Pokken Tournament, the game, where you can Mega Evolve your Charizard into a Charizard X, and you gain an extra sort of move, essentially, which makes it pretty badass, to be honest. But we should not also forget that there is another Mega form that appears of Charizard, known as Mega Charizard Y, and it pretty much has the same level of appearances as Mega Charizard X, but I do personally prefer Mega Charizard X. But let's just talk about Mega Charizard Y for a second. It appeared in a league of his own as a partner to the trainer Trevor, and of course it also has a history at being essentially in a lot of different areas of the games and the animes as well, and also partially in the manga. So there are a few places you can actually find Charizard Y as well, pretty much the same amount you'll find Charizard X, so they get the equal amount of like footing, I'd say. But yeah, that's that for the Mega Evolutions. Now let's talk a bit about the history of the normal Charizard in the anime and manga, because it has been a huge influencer in those areas. Now, Charizard was one of the top dog Pokemon in Ash Ketchum's team during his time in Kanto, where he got himself a Charmander that he then evolved into Charizard. It was a Charizard with a bit of attitude, and it stuck with a lot of people over time, and it gained love for that as well, because people liked a little bit of a tough attitude that it had towards Ash, and some didn't like that, but I personally loved the little attitude it had against Ash. It was pretty cute and pretty nice, and a lot of people loved it for that. But that's not the only time we see the kind of love coming through when it comes to Charizard. You can also see Lisa's Charizard called Carla that has a romantic relationship with Ash's Charizard in the anime, so that's a bit for those people out there who are into those sort of things, but that has actually happened. There is a bit of Charizard action going on, so this is a bit weird. Let's move on to a different point, shall we? But you do not only have that, you also have appearances of Charizard in the manga. One of these is in the Ash and Pikachu manga, where Ash's Charizard is facing off against Nolan's Articuno. Overall, there are loads of moments where Charizard appears in the anime and manga, and it has been a true staple in that area of the Pokemon franchise. Now, that's really that when it comes to the normal Charizard in terms of its appearances. It appears in the anime a lot. I mean, it is Ash's partner, and it does appear in several regions, in several seasons. It's not just in season 1 or whatever. It appears in future seasons as well, like in Sun and Moon, X and Y, stuff like that. You will always kind of see Charizard here and there. Maybe not Ash's specifically, but different Charizards. It's kind of a Pokemon that appears in most to all seasons essentially of Pokemon in general. But now let's look at some other things regarding Charizard itself, and let's talk about something that Charizard is well known for, and that is the Pokemon trading card game. Now, Charizard is one of the few Pokemon that has a very rare set of cards that are worth several hundreds of dollars. One of these could be the original base set Charizard, which you can get in holo and form and whatnot, and if you get I'm not really sure exactly what they call them, but essentially there are Charizard cards, the original ones, the first base set of Pokemon, that are very rare and super expensive, and it's actually insane because I've seen several people have loads of those and they can sell for a huge amount of money. So Charizard is a Pokemon that appears a lot in the franchise of Pokemon in general in terms of merchandising. As it turns out, Charizard is actually one of the Pokemon that sells the most merchandise, and this comes down to a very simple thing. It's the design of Charizard. Being based off of a dragon, it's very easy to sell that concept to a larger audience. People can understand something like Charizard better than they can understand something like Articuno, for example, or something like a Groudon. They can understand a dragon better, and that's why it sells better, especially when you add the whole magical, fire breathing with a tail that's on fire concept to it. In general, Charizard is a Pokemon that's been around for a long time, and is planning on staying that way. Charizard is a Pokemon that I feel like deserves to be around, and it's earned its spot, being first in Pokemon Red and Blue, and then eventually all the way to Sun and Moon. And of course appearing in several other places, such as spin-off games. So let's talk about that for a moment. Now, Charizard has not only appeared in anime, manga, and the main series games, it also appears in such games as Super Smash Bros, where you can play as Charizard, which I think is pretty awesome. And also, another fighting game is Pokken Tournament, where you can Mega Evolve into Charizard X, but of course you can use normal Charizard as well. But it also appears in Team ACT in the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series, which is pretty awesome as well. Charizard is also one of those Pokemon that appears in a lot of different games, like Pokemon Conquest, Pokemon Shuffle, Pokepark, Pokemon Rumble Blast, and many more games. This is a Pokemon that's evolved over time. Its design went from a chubby little weird thing to a majestic, sleek looking design with its Mega Evolutions, and it's evolved over history. I'm a huge fan of Charizard, and I can't wait to see what it's going to hold in the future. And I guess that's all we have to say for now, guys. And I'm going to end this off like this. In all honesty, Charizard is a Pokemon that I hope to keep seeing in the future of Pokemon and with the franchise, and I think we will. Charizard is a Pokemon that will always stick around and will always be looked upon in very high regard by the Pokemon community. People love Charizard. Some overrate Charizard, some don't. But I personally love this Pokemon, and I do not condone any hate towards it, as it is just a design and a creation by some creative and lovely people over at Game Freak. So let me know in the comment section down below. Were you a fan of Charizard as a kid, or are you a fan of Charizard now, or do you not like it? Let me know about that in the comment section down below, and also why you don't like it. And as for the future of Charizard, well, it's already gotten 2 Mega Evolutions. It's already kind of gotten to the end game, so to say. But that doesn't mean that there's more after that. Charizard will always be with us, and it will always be a Pokemon that you will see in merchandising, in the games, in the anime, in the movies, in the manga. You will always see it around. It's always going to be there. But that's going to be the end of the video, ladies and gentlemen. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like down below, subscribe for future videos, and if you want to see more of these videos and give suggestions for what the next Pokemon should be, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll see you all the next time. Have a great day, and bye-bye.